Okay, good evening. This is William K. Murtathon, Witness 1, and I'm going to wait just a second to see if more than one individual shows up. Um, like to say good evening. Yeah, well, my audience just doubled. Hello, number 2. Anyway, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the show. Um, it's been kind of an interesting day today, rather busy. And so I'm going to start. Anyway, I'm not sure why I'm having this viewer problem, but that's fine because this show gets recorded anyway. Uh, what I'm going to do is I'm going to update a couple things. First of all, um, there's been breaking developments. Oh, here we go. We got a couple more coming in. Um, in the first of these breaking developments is in the trial of Neely Petrie Blatcher. Now, let me see if I can pull. Um, the Trying to figure it out. The defense has asked for a continuance on the trial. The trial was supposed to begin the end of February, and this is not going to happen. The defendant, Neely Petrie Blanchard, uh, has asked for an unopposed motion to continue the scheduled pre-trial for February 2nd, 2023. And the explanation is as follows. Number one, discovery is ongoing. Number two, the reciprocal witnesses are being deposed by state attorney's office on February 2nd, 2023. One of these being um, Kirk Pendergrass. The defense is still waiting for a final evaluation from Dr. Kropp relating to an insanity defense. The defendant has previously waived a speedy trial. The state waives any objection to the continuance. And wherefore, the defendant requests the motion to continue pretrial scheduled February 2nd, 2023, to be granted and placed in the court's April 27th, 2023 pretrial docket at 10:30 a.m. Now, the pretrial, um, the everything has been rescheduled per the judge, and the pretrial conference is going to be the end of April. And I'm having to bring this back up again. I booted myself out of this website. Come on. And let's go. There's been some other things in this, but jury selection scheduled for May 15th, 2023 at 8:30 p.m. This means that it's going to be mid-May before the trial begins if there is no further delay. So, hello, Amber. Amber's visiting, and might as well. Amber, you're getting heavy. So, here's Amber. Early, early night here. Here, see? Hi. Hello, everybody. Okay, go Pepe. Go pester the kittens or something. Now we have kittens now. Um, So, upside down world, yes, I am quite uh, well, and things have been very interesting. So, anyway, the Blanchard trial is not going to be held in mid May. Now, there's been a rather interesting development when it comes to the case of Neely Blanchard in the state of Florida. And this has to do with Christopher Hallett, um, and of all people, Kathy Lake. Now, a while back, sometime last week, I believe, uh, the wife of Christopher Hallett is alleged to have shown up in the telegram room. And there was a rather heated debate about whether or not it was Christopher Hallett's wife that was in the room. And Kathy Lake, it was at the center of this debate. I believe that she um, questioned that it was actually Chris Hallett's wife. And thus, this rather robust debate started up, continued for a while, and then all of a sudden, Kathy Lake vanished from the Pentagon pedophile chat. Went poof. Where'd she go? Well, according to quite a number of posts that came in my direction, it would appear that Kathy Lake got herself banned not only from the Pentagon Pedophile Task Force chat site, but from Telegram as a whole. Now, Telegram is supposed to be a place where it's rather hard to be banned. You really have to have done something to get banned. So, what did Kathy Lake do to get herself banned? Now, this is up in the air. It has been stated by a number of people that have contacted me that this had to do with her argument with uh, the person claiming to be Mrs. Hallett, Chris Hallett's ex wife. And someone had turned her into um, Telegram for unknown reasons. Or, as the more likely situation is that Tim Holmseth himself, as administrator of the PPTF chat, had her banned. Or that it was somebody from the entourage that had her banned. We don't know for sure what's going on. Anyone heard of Edward Jones or Edward Smith? Um, no, I haven't heard of this individual. Um, ACOPS is asking that question, and welcome ACOPS. And I don't know. It doesn't seem to be somebody that um, I'm familiar with, but my memory sucks. So you take that for what it's worth. So anyway, we have Kathy Lake, who is Tim Holmseth's most ardent supporter. Um, Her and I have gotten into some real intense debates, to say the least. Um, so it's not certain what or why caused her ban, or if she has come in under a different name, or if she is completely off Telegram. Hard to say at this point. Um, what's been interesting about all this, as far as I know, is Tim Homeseth has not said a word about her being banned from Telegram. Um, you would think, because of the amount of support that Kathy Lake has given Tim Homeseth, that he would be very upset to hear that one of his most ardent supporters has been banned from Telegram. But as of this broadcast, there has not been a peep. And so we are left to wonder what happened. Um, now, what is interesting is one of the things that came up in the discussion was the lawsuit that Chris Hallett had filed with Marion County. And this was also mentioned in the discovery request by the defense in the Neely Blanchard case. They are asking the state of Florida to produce an electronic copy of that lawsuit that was filed on November 4th, I believe it was 2020. And um, the state has not granted that request as of yet. Um, there's no indication that they're not going to grant it, but they have not granted it. Now, shortly after the banning of Kathy Lake, an anonymous individual contacted me and um, indicated that they had a connection to the ex Mrs. Hallett and that she has a copy of the um, lawsuit. And that would make sense since she is a party to the lawsuit. And that's about all I can say to that right now. But, she is the wife of Chris Hallett, so she, former wife. And so through next to kin, she may have access to the paperwork. But another anonymous individual claims to have a connection to Kathy Lake. And this anonymous connection supplied me with a copy of the lawsuit. Now, because of this being an ongoing murder case, I am not going to take the chance of divulging what the lawsuit is. I'll say this much. The followers of Tim Homeseth are not going to be happy when this lawsuit comes out because it's not what they think it is. But until the state of Florida releases a copy of the lawsuit, or when I contact them soon to find out if I can get a copy of the lawsuit, I'm not going to release what it is because I do not want to interfere with the trial by prematurely disclosing discovery evidence that has not been released by the state of Florida. So we're having to wait for that. And so that is two things that I am mentioning. Now, the third thing I am mentioning is the lawsuit that Tim Homeseth filed with the state of Tennessee in federal court. Now, this is by far probably the oddest lawsuit that I have seen from this individual to date. Um, and there's been some fallout on this lawsuit that um, is rather interesting. Now, it would appear that Tim Homeseth is going. Oh, Lewis Barry is in here. Hello, Lewis. not surprised that you didn't that you decided to show up. Um, but anyway, Tim Holmseth has come up with an article, or whoever this PWS builder is. It says Devin Nunes and Michael Flynn connected to kidnapping and murder plot in state of Ohio? Question mark. Investigation underway. So now, oh, hello, Rebecca. So now we have Tim Holmseth targeting Devin Nunes in his latest diatribe. Now, this is a bit of a surprise considering what Devin Nunes is doing right now. Devin Nunes is the no, Levi is not running scared. Tim ought to be. Uh, so, Lewis, you're full of it as usual. I like your self portrait there, by the way. Anyway, getting back, subject at hand, since Mr. Barry wants to troll this channel. Devin Nunes left his office to run Truth Social. Now, Tim Holmseth is on Truth Social. So I'm a bit surprised that he would be going after the CEO of the Truth Social, who could at any time give Holmseth the boot from Tim Holmseth. But this is yet again um, Tim Holmseth turning his back on people that he is allied, formerly allied with, biting the hand that feeds him, so to speak. You know, he is turned against Mr. Nunes by all indication, and it's not clear why. But um, he's bringing the 2,100 kids uh, story up again. Now, if you remember, he got on um, David Straight's case because David Straight is not giving him the proper attention to this, and um, neither is um, other people that he's tried to get attention to. So Holmseth is going after him. Now, something else about the so called RICO trial. Um, it has been said on Telegram that the attorney, Mr. Biss, I believe it was, who was aiding in this action, backed out of it. That he basically told uh, Randy Erickson that he no longer is going to represent them or assist them with this case. And because of that, uh, Biss is now the piss. And he is on Tim Holmseth's piss list. And Tim is now forced to go about this without Biss's advice. Now, Holmseth, in another one of this odd movements of his, has added the entire Department of Justice in the lawsuit. I mean, the entire Department of Justice. Now, I don't know if anybody's ever sued the entire Justice Department, so it's going to be rather interesting to see how Mr. Holmseth goes about this. Um, The reason being is, who do you summon into court? You've got all these agencies and so forth that's part of the Department of Justice. Now, who is it that Mr. Holmseth is going to have a process server go to and say, here, you're being sued? That's, this is something that's going to be interesting. And the Department of Justice is not some blogger or social media influence individual running a YouTube channel or other channels talking about true crime or other subjects. It is a huge branch of the United States government, and they have a lot at their disposal, resource wise. So, if Mr. Holmseth succeeds in getting the Department of Justice served as a defendant in the case, they're going to come after Mr. Holmseth with guns blazing. They're going to have the power and resources of the United States government. And I don't know how much power Tim Holmseth seems to think that he has. But it's going to be interesting to see how he is dealt with by the Department of Justice and what rabbit he's going to pull out of his hat in order to fight the Department of Justice. Now, there is no telling when and if this thing is going to go forward. Now, the last entry we have on the docket is the January 19th amended complaint against all these defendants. And one of the defendants is Alexandra Goddard. And Louis Berry is in here making an ass out of himself. It's kind of funny to watch. I guess he or she is not welcome over on Telegram because he's over here trying to get attention. But that's okay. He's helping my numbers, so he can paddle away. And somebody has a spin. Why don't you report on that, Whitey? It will be about the John Benet Ramsey case. Oh, I guess Tim Holmseth is accusing Montegraph of being part of the John Benet case. So, this is old news, Lewis. We've known about this. Levi was served and he is running scared. No, Levi was not served. It's in the Pacer, if you bother to look, that there was detail given by the process server in his attempt to service Levi. He went to the wrong address. Levi does not live where the process server went. The guy told him to go pound sand, and the process server turned into the court that it was not served. It's right there in the record. So you may want to go and learn how to read English because you apparently are unable to do so. Oh, the trolls are in here. Timothy is kicking ass and taking names. Yeah, right. I got news for you. Timmy is in a whole shitload of trouble, which is my next subject. Tim Holmseth got served again with another restraining order. And this was by Alexander Goddard. And as I go through this material, under PERRC 2903.214 F3, Law enforcement. Fine. Warning to law enforcement: respondent has firearms. Proceed with caution. The terms of this order shall be effective until November 7th or February 17th, 2023. I'm not sure why this is so short, but this is an immediate restraining order or order for protection. And I think the reason for that is um, there is going to be a hearing the end of January. But um, there are a number of provisions. He has to leave um, Timmy alone or leave Alexandra alone. Respondent shall not initiate any contact with the protected persons named in this order. Number two, up near the top, respondent shall not interfere with protected persons' right to occupy the residence, including but not limited to canceling utilities, insurance, or interrupting communication. This is basically standard in these things. Respondent shall not initiate or have any contact with protected persons named in this order. Respondent shall not coerce or encourage any person to do any act prohibited by this order. Now, this means that third parties can't circumvent this order, who is on the behalf of Tim Homestead. And this may have been done already because it's come to be known that Mr. Nemers, however the hell you pronounce that guy's name, of Lion News, has been in contact with Alexander Goddard's attorney. Now, this is a clear violation of the order because he is obstructing a official proceeding. And he may also have caused Holseth to be in violation of the order, and Holseth may wind up being cited in contempt and an arrest warrant issued for his arrest in the state of Wisconsin. You see, Tim Holmseth has stated that he's a resident of the state of Wisconsin because of this um, post office box that he's using. And since he is a resident of the state of Wisconsin, the paperwork was served to him in Wisconsin. And he is aware of the order for protection because he's gone quiet. But Mr. Namars, by contacting the attorney for Ms. Goddard, may well have gotten Mr. Holmseth in trouble. Now, there is going to be a hearing on this thing in the end of the month, the end of January. And I'm going to be rather curious to see how this new development is going to be handled in court. Now, the delusional Mr. Barry, or Miss Barry, because this is more than likely Astro using a fake name again, Levi will be forced to turn over all his earnings to Timmy for the rest of his life. No, because this case is either going to be dismissed or all the evidence against Mr. Holmseth is going to be introduced in court. And it's going to be Mr. Holmseth and the owner of Mr. Holmseth's website, blog, BitChute channel, and so forth that is going to be paying the rest of her life. She's already in debt up to her eyeballs with Craig Sawyer. And so any remaining funds left over after Craig Sawyer is done with him, um, Levi Page is going to have in his possession because Mr. Holmseth is not um, going to sit well in court. Astro is another one of your minions you pretend to feud with. Oh, Lewis, you are so full of it. You do not know Astro. I Either that or you're our Astro and you're pretending not to be Astro. See, the thing of it is, Lewis, is we don't know who you are. You are some troll hiding behind a fake name that for some reason comes in here. Why do I always talk about Timothy? Well, Valentine, you apparently are new because you don't understand that Timmy has made accusations against me. He's accused me of being a pedophile. He's accused me of being a serial rapist, serial killer. He has accused me of being involved in the Delphi murders. He has accused me of being involved in the Jan Benet case, the Dretton Duckett case, the Casey Anthony case, and on and on and on and on. Tim Holmseth has been stalking me for a decade. Mert will be added as a defendant in the Tennessee RICO action. Well, that's fine. I have got coming up on 3 banker boxes full of evidence, plus my um, hard drive down here that has all this on it. And so when I come into court and confront Mr. Holmseth is going to have a boatload of questions to answer, such as how did he come up with his conclusion that I had something to do with the murder of the teenagers in Delphi, Indiana. And Mr. Holmseth is going to have to explain this Whitey Bulger situation. How did he come to the conclusion that I am Whitey Bulger? See, he went one step further. He not only stated that I look like Whitey Bulger, but he stated that I am Whitey Bulger. See, this just because you submit this weird lawsuit to the Tennessee federal court, this does not make it fact. You have to come to court and prove what you say is true. And you, Mr. Holmseth, are subject to cross examination. All these defendants, we're up to 30 defendants now, have the right to come into court and ask you, how did you come up with all this information? Where's your proof? Where's your probable cause? Where are your exhibits? A chat, a TV report is going to be evidence of a crime? Are you kidding me? That's hearsay. And what happens if that reporter is called into court? They could call in Mike DeForest of channel WKMG News and ask him about his information. And Terry Nemers is going to have to come into court and answer his accusations. And I am sure that Lewis Berry's true identity will be found out, and Lewis Berry is going to have to come into court and explain itself. Because Lewis Berry, you are acting on the behalf of Timothy Charles Holmseth, as this other person that has come in here, this Valentine bride. Uh, the Department of Justice, who is also defendant in the lawsuit, is also going to want to know who all these people are. And the Department of Justice has a way of finding this stuff out. So the Department of Justice coming into this lawsuit is a favor to those of us who are being. Yes, I did try to get a restraining order against Timmy and Randy. The problem here is that number one, I don't know, I'm not very good at filing things. And number two, it doesn't mean shit. Um, this was out there that I tried to get these restraining orders. And the thing of it is, I can refile if I so choose. But since this lawsuit is coming up, I'm going to let the lawsuit do what I attempted to do here in Florida. I'm going to let the lawsuit show that Tim Holmseth is a failure, that Tim Holmseth is a liar, Tim Holmseth is a fraud, and Tim Holmseth is quite likely a criminal because he is in violation of the wire fraud statutes. And so, Lewis, you coming in here and stalking this room with this malarkey is just adding to the defense file against Mr. Homestead because we will find out who you are. Um, I don't know where Lori is. I hope she's doing okay. Um, kind of cold up where she lives, so she may be huddling down. But what is interesting with Mr. Barry, it is showing that Timothy is extremely scared. Because why on earth would Tim Homseth, the so called spokesperson for the almighty PPTF, be in here uh, stalking this channel? Um, hard to say, but it's clear that Lewis Berry is desperate for attention because Lewis Berry is not on Telegram. I don't see. Let's look at Telegram. See, is Lewis Berry on Telegram? Um, nope. No Lewis Berry. No Lewis Berry. No Lewis Berry. No Lewis Berry. No, Lewis Berry's not on Telegram. Why isn't Lewis Berry on Telegram? How about it, Lewis? How come you're not on Telegram? How come you're not on BitChute? I don't understand. Why are you in here? Why aren't you over on BitChute? Have you paid your monthly? Um, yeah, you just hit it on the button. See, this is what it's about. It's about money, Lewis. That's why Holmeseth is doing this stuff. It's about money. I'm not in this for the money. I'm in this for the truth. But Tim Holmeseth is a greedy little twerp that goes after um, these things. Um, he's got what, 6 begging sites up. He's got a thing where he's asking $40,000 a month for a car. Okay. Why does he need $40,000 for a car? And he needs money to even talk to Donald Trump when it's easy to do. Well, I'll tell you what, Randy Erickson isn't going to be wealthy at all because she just lost, LOST, a $500,000 judgment. And they are in the process of collecting it. And they will go after all those properties that Randy owns. Because Randy lost her lawsuit. Lewis, apparently you don't read Pacer. It's in there. Craig Sawyer won his lawsuit. She lost. She has to pay a judgment of $500,000. So you know, she better get that checkbook out and start writing because Randy has passed FBI background checks. I want to see those FBI background checks because it doesn't matter if she passed an FBI background check or not. She has lost $500,000 in a lawsuit. I don't know. Why don't you go find out where Levi is? You seem to be interested in him. You know, Levi, unlike Levi, Timmy doesn't have a life. Levi's out there earning a living and doing a thing. I wouldn't be surprised um, because Randy would be too scared to use her own name. And Randy, um, Lewis Berry doesn't like answering questions. I've asked Lewis Berry questions and he won't answer, or she won't. Where is Timothy Homestead? Where is the $500,000 that Randy owes Craig Sawyer? Why won't Randy Erickson come to the state of Ohio? Do I work for the FBI? According to Tim Holmseth, I do. Remember, Tim Holmseth has uh, said that I am a representative of the FBI. Well, you're going to have to ask Levi Page that. It's not my business to investigate Levi Page. It is not my business to report on anything about Levi Page. Uh, you, you know, Timothy Holmseth is supposed to be an investigative reporter. So why isn't Timothy Holmseth finding all this out? Timothy Holmseth has filed a lawsuit against Levi Page. So it's Timothy Holmes's obligation to find this information out. He can go and file legal paperwork wanting to know where Levi Page works. I mean, why do you care where Levi Page works? What does this have to do with you? Lewis, what is your true name? Where do you work? What's the name of your employer, Lewis? Well, Lewis does, Rebecca, because it has done this before. Lewis Barris has been trolling this room for years under a multitude of different usernames. Lewis has also come in um, here under name after name after name. Lewis also comes on Telegram under different names and trolls me on Telegram, usually right during the middle of my live stream, which is what I'm checking now. Um, and nope. I guess we're not having our trolls over on Telegram tonight. That's good. They just decided to come over here and troll this room, which they have approximately 15 more minutes to do so because this show is only going to be on the air for an hour. I have an early wheels up time tomorrow, so um, I have preparations. Now I'm going to touch on something that I mentioned a little while back, and that is the Monster Project. Now, the Monster Project, I'm not really going to get into a great deal. I will be making an announcement more about the Monster Project in the coming weeks. The monster is awake. The monster is getting ready. The monster will be doing what it is I intend for the monster to be doing probably by the 1st of April. But sometime in March, I will be getting into exactly what the Monster Project is and the reason for it to some extent. So stay tuned for that. Um, it's going to be something that nobody has any idea what this is. It's something that um, has become necessary, and I will get into that as time goes forth. And I have the other projects, such as the um, Starfire project, which I'm going to be starting on here very shortly, and the Mesa project, which has been delayed for quite a long time. And once the weather warms up, I'm going to be getting at after two of these projects, plus a couple of other things I have in the project files. There's going to be some interesting stuff that takes place, and I am going to attempt to cover the Blanchard trial live and in person on location. There's going to be some logistical problems I have to overcome between now and then. And one of these problems is getting the courts to finally come up with a date for this trial and hold it without um, constantly delaying this thing, continuing it into who knows when. But it is typical of these things that they get delayed. We are looking at a first degree murder trial with the likelihood of the death penalty being brought about. And so it is inevitable that we're going to have these delays. Now, Christopher Hallett um, is going to have his lawsuit brought into court, and reviewing it again here, Holmseth supporters and Holmseth himself are not going to be too happy when this is made public, which it will because it's going to go into the court. Um, like I said, I have a copy of it, and because it has not been entered into the court as a public record, I'm not going to disclose it. I don't know if I could or not because it is a matter of public record, believe it or not. But um, it will eventually be made public, and then Timmy is going to have a lot of explaining to do. And also, the receipt that Timmy's been bragging about that's been blocked out, I have a copy of that, and it's not blocked out. And I now understand why Timmy blocked out the receipt. Because this is supposed to be proof of this lawsuit, or, and what Timmy said about it. And yet, when you see the receipt with what's actually on there, you're going to go, oh, Timmy lied. Because the proof is in the receipt that Timmy lied. Why else would Timmy black it out? This is public record, and he blacks out a receipt. But someone was kind enough to send me all this information. And I looked through it, and I went, oh, this is the big deal. Oh, my shirt got all wrinkled here. Sorry about that. This is the big deal that Timmy is boasting about, and it's a nothing burger. And it's also why it is likely the individual that came in the telegram last week is not Chris Hallett's ex-wife. Can't be certain of that, but what was said by the supposed ex-wife of Chris Hallett in telegram does not jive what's in this lawsuit. And I can guarantee you that if it was Mrs. Hallett, she would be quite familiar with that lawsuit and wouldn't be saying the things about that lawsuit that was said. So, who is the person that came in and said that they were Mrs. Hallett? Well, it might be our famous Louis Berry. Maybe Louis Berry is the one that went into Telegram and pretended to be Mrs. Hallett, or that there was somebody else on the Tim Holseth team that decided to create some fake drama and brought in this person, creating a narrative that says that they are Mrs. Hallett. But, if you go over on all the social media that Mr. Holmseth has, he is always the center of attention. It's Mr. Holmseth that's the target for assassination. It's Mr. Holmseth that has all this information that's secret, that supposedly has to do with this Tennessee RICO lawsuit, crimes against humanity, and all this other nonsense. And there's nothing. This is not the first time that Tim Holmseth has done this. He did it in the state of Minnesota for years. He's done it all over the country. And, this Louis Berry comes in here and makes this weird narrative without any proof. Just, seems to think that they're going to make this stuff up in this room and that everybody's going to go, whoa, we got Tim Holmseth that's going to come down on us. Whoa, we better go out and get our passports or, something and get out of town because Timmy's coming to get us. Right. It's Timmy that's scared. I can go out and walk down the street, and get in my car, drive anywhere, get on the internet, chat away, get on this live stream, chat away. Timmy can't do any of that. Timmy's on assignment. Timmy's in hiding. Timmy's the target of assassination. Timmy's this, Timmy's that. And these lunatics over on Telegram and on Big Shoot buy into it. They send them the money. And they come in here and brag that Timmy's making more money than I do. That's not hard to do because I'm on Social Security. But, you know, and, got this wealthy, rich, famous real estate broker with all the FBI background checks. And what is my job? Our troll is back. What is my job? My job is to retire on Social Security. I can't get a job because Timmy's made that impossible. Well, you know that, don't you? I mean, you've done your research, Lewis. You know it all. You know, but fine. Lewis, you live in your fantasy world. You go ahead and you brag and brag and brag. Eventually, you're going to be looking like the fool you are because you've latched on to a moron. You've latched on to a fake. You've latched on to a charlatan. Hey, cops behind us. Um, Thanks for coming in. Um, Appreciate you being here a little bit. You have a good evening. Have a good rest of your weekend. So, are you willing to answer some questions, Lewis, or are you just going to be the asker of questions? Oh, yeah, it's going to catch up to him, Rebecca, because this federal lawsuit is something that all of us have been waiting for a long, long time. Because no matter what happens with this lawsuit, Timmy has backed himself into a corner. So, How much do I get on SSI? Not enough. Believe me, it's not enough. It's not even close. Um, Social Security does not begin to do much good. It saves me from being in a tent out on the highway someplace, but other than that, it's not much. And Lewis, I'm not answering any questions of yours because it's none of your business. I mean, you are attached to the. Sorry about that. It's funny that these people keep coming in here and asking all these questions, but they won't answer any. They ask, but they won't answer. Have you ever noticed that? Louis Berry won't answer any questions. Why is that, Louis? Why are you keeping yourself a big secret? This is, there's people in this room that would like to know. I mean, there's 20 people in here, at least one or two of them. Let's say I can see one, two, um, maybe five, six people in here that want to know. Bye, Barry. Say hi to Whitey for me. And why the space between the W and the H? I mean, are you that illiterate? You see, Barry gets confronted, so Barry runs away. But Barry is realizing that they are not effective. So, but you know, Barry ran away, didn't want to answer any questions, decided that our little tactic didn't work, and so Barry went away. And it's quite easy to figure out how much I make on Social Security. It's public information from the Social Security Administration because I make the highest amount that's paid out on Social Security. I'm at the top of the scale, so to speak. And it's not enough to get by. When you figure rent on this trailer, utilities on this trailer, food, you know, other expenses, it's not a whole hell of a lot of money. And so, you can all of Homestead Spring. Am I on Tinder? Why would I be on Tinder? You know, and again, Lewis is asking questions. Lewis is not answering questions. Lewis, are you on Tinder? Come on, Lewis, answer some questions. Are you on Tinder? Are you on Rumble? Are you on Gab? Are you on True Social? Are you on Telegram? Come on, Lewis, answer some questions. What are you scared of? I mean, why are you scared to answer these questions? I mean, you come in here to troll this room and you're not willing to give information about yourself. Now, why is that? Why are you in here, Lewis? Come on. Come on, Lewis. Come on out from under your desk. Be brave. I mean, we'll be gentle with you. How about it? Oh, we're on True Social. I don't see your name over there. Where are you from? Where do you live? What state do you live in, Lewis? Lewis actually answered the question. Lewis is on True Social. Well, let's see. Let's do a search on True Social. I'm going to go overtime here. I ain't intended to quit, but let's see. Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm not on True Social. So, okay. So he's on True Social. That means it's probably Tim Homestead. But, that speaks for itself. If he's on True Social, that says all that needs to be said. But, yeah, Lewis, when's Timmy's next move? What's he gonna file with Pacer next? When are we gonna start getting some action on this trial? I cover trials. And this is a big trial. Yeah. It's a federal trial. It's going to be a little hard to cover it, but I'll manage. I have connections within the federal court system. So come on, Lewis. Tell Timmy to get his shit together and get going here. People want to see some progress here. Um, he's begging for tons of money. It's about time he starts to earn it. Hey, sorry about the drive-through. All right, folks. I guess this is enough for tonight. I'm going to call it a night. Please like, subscribe, share, hit the notification button, for I will be back in the future to see how these things are going to go forward. We've got another month coming up here. We've only got a few days left in this month, and we will be into February. We'll be having people being deposed in Idaho and elsewhere. And we're going to have this weirdness going on in the state of Tennessee. And so there's going to be a few things to keep an eye on. Now, I don't know if I'm going to be able to stick to having these live streams on Saturday because my schedule has changed. So keep an eye out for announcements. Now, my primary way of announcing is over on Twitter, even though I may do a brief video shortly before I come on the air. Because the way my schedule keeps getting warped around, it's going to be better for me to live stream on a different day of the week. So stay tuned for that. So anyway, good night, everybody. You have a good one. And Lewis, you need to be more forthcoming. You don't have to be scared of us. We're not all that bad. Anyway, good night, all. Good night, AC cops. I see you fell asleep, so have a nighty night.